Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our second live streaming presentation of our Convocation series. I hope you are back and ready to enjoy a special presentation. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce resident conductor Daniel Brier from the Kalamazoo Symphony Orchestra. So please welcome Daniel Brier.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be here with you all, albeit virtually. These are definitely times that are different and times in which we are all navigating new things on a daily basis. Each year I come here and I get the opportunity to share what the Kalamazoo Symphony Orchestra is doing in our community, but also how we are able to provide some things to benefit you all, as well as different things that help you in your pursuit of a career in music. I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and it's always great to be here with you all. Today we'll talk a little bit about, I'll introduce myself, a little bit about my background and how I got to where I am, and I'll talk a lot about what we do at the KSO and how we are weathering the storm of this pandemic, and then we'll close with just a few words of encouragement as you embark on this new school year. I grew up in a musical family and started playing piano and then violin, and spent a lot of time playing music all the way through elementary school, middle school, and high school. Eventually got my degree in violin performance, and talking about unusual pathways into a different career. Immediately after my bachelor's degree, I went and taught middle school and high school choirs for 2 years on the East Coast, and then decided to go back and get some graduate work. And so I did a choral conducting degree at the University of Michigan, and then orchestral conducting degree, and then ended up here in Kalamazoo as assistant conductor and now resident conductor of the KSO. As we'll talk about in a bit, everyone's pathway into this field is different, and it's fine, and that's great. It's a wonderful field, it's a rewarding field, a richly rewarding field, but also a field which takes a lot of determination and a lot of work. At the Kalamazoo Symphony, we typically perform 6 Masterworks concerts per season, sometimes 7. These are the concerts where we present the finest guest artists, and we bring them into town, and we present the finest works, in the orchestral repertoire. We also typically perform 2 family concerts every year, a series of 10 youth concerts, holiday concerts, many different pops concerts. We often do live movies, and we even do a lot of chamber music all around town. This is what we do on a typical yearly basis. However, as you can imagine, the pandemic has changed the way we work. We found out about the pandemic as long as the rest of us did in this country. Starting around February, we kept our eyes on it, and then March it came, and soon everything was shut down. In fact, we were just preparing to perform Bach's St. Matthew's Passion with the Western Michigan University choirs. It was something we have been looking forward to for many years, and it's something that the pandemic chose to pause for us. As you can imagine, the first way that we were dealing with the pandemic was with cancellations and postponements. For me personally, that often meant taking the music I was studying and putting it back on the shelf. And every month, there was more and more things being put back onto the shelf. As we got into the summer, we started to consider what might happen with this pandemic as it plays out. And we started to imagine what different options we had. So for a professional orchestra like ours, we have many different people that we serve. We have our incredible musicians who are the core of what we do. And we work with them, we have a contract with them, and they are the lifeblood of our organization. Then we have, of course, the staff that keeps everything running, and we also have our patrons, and then all of the venues in which we perform. So there's a lot of people to communicate with, and a lot of planning that takes place. So we started at the beginning of the summer imagining what the fall might look like if we were unable to get back together and play physically in the same space. One of the first things that we did is we started creating some digital content. And the digital content has many different forms. It can be something as simple as a video update to our patrons from our executive director or our music director. It can be a number of different things. A lot of orchestras have been streaming previous archived performances of theirs, some of their favorite performances from past seasons. All of these things kind of stemmed the tide and tried to figure out what to do until we figure out what happens next. As we started planning then, we had to start considering what are our options. And there are several main options that are available. You could perform outdoors, of course, socially distanced. With an orchestra, that means quite a lot of space, actually. If you're looking at 3 meters distance between each musician, and you multiply that by 84, you're talking a lot of square footage. So there's that option. There's the option of live streaming a performance, so where we all get together in a room and we perform over a live stream, much like I'm doing here today for you. There's the option of eventually, hopefully, getting patrons into the hall, but if they are socially distanced, the hall's capacity reduces to about 25% or give or take, which means a loss in a lot of revenue. And so those are other things that we've been taking into consideration. Eventually, we will get back to performing like usual with a full hall and a full stage. But until then, we've had to create, for each production and each program, different options. So right now, the planning in a professional orchestra like ours looks like this. If we have a performance scheduled for January, we're looking at 3 or 4 options that help us to be able to still perform something in January. And going through all of this planning, we've created 3 or 4 different programs of music. Something that can be performed by a very, very small chamber orchestra, something that could be performed by a chamber orchestra, a mid-sized orchestra, and of course we still have the dream that maybe one day we could have the full orchestra. And so suddenly then you're planning 6 Masterworks concerts, but you've got 4 or 5, 4 mainly contingency options. You're looking at 24 different plans that you're constantly monitoring. One of the also interesting things about this particular season for the Kalamazoo Symphony is it is our 100th season. So we were planning all kinds of big celebrations. We have commissions, one from a concerto for orchestra by Andre Previn that we're dying to perform. We had many guest artists lined up, ready to come and perform with us. All of these things are, of course, in flux now. And so we made the choice roughly early June, to move all of our big concerts starting in January, to give us a little bit more time to create these contingencies, but also to see how the pandemic is playing out in this country. In the meantime, we had to fill up a lot of space, because you're talking about going dark from March all the way to the first time we hopefully can play together as an orchestra, January, almost a whole year. And in the meantime, we started creating different options. The first one that we did is a digital project, one that I'll play for you in just a minute. This option is where different musicians in our orchestra, and this is purely voluntary, we chose to put together an important piece of Beethoven's. As you know, 2020 is Beethoven's 250th anniversary year. We had big plans of performing a lot of Beethoven in November, so we thought it would be fitting for our first digital project to be a work by Beethoven, the Prometheus Overture. And to create this particular video, while it looks not too complicated, it's actually quite a complicated process. First of all, there's a click track that is created, a click track that keeps track of the tempo and how it ebbs and flows along the way so that everyone can play at the same time. And then that file is sent out digitally to all of our musicians that volunteered for this project. And they, using their camcorders and their iPhones and their computers and whatever electronic device that they had that they could record themselves, sat down, and we also delivered the music to them, and they practiced their parts, recorded it with the click track, and then sent it in. And then what happens is our music director, Julian Querty, took all of those files, separated out all of the audio, created the audio track, synthesized it all together, made sure to fix any timing issues and all of that, and then taking all of the videos and attached that back to the audio tracks, and then in the process of it, figure out what is being shown on the actual screen at any given moment. So it's a long process, a process that takes many hours, but why don't we have a look at that now, and let's just have a look. We'll play about 2 minutes of it. I think the link is in the comment section, and you can watch the rest of it later. But here's our first digital project. So that was our first digital project that we did at the KSO. Took a lot of time to put together, but we did that last spring. Over the summer, we've done a couple of other similar types of projects, but on a smaller scale. Some that I think are quite clever and very interesting, where we took a bunch of different canons, musical canons, and we had 2, 4, 6, 8 different people from the orchestra, odd instrument combinations and everything, play canons together, and then that was all done virtually and stitched together using footage of our musicians going about the tedium of daily life in quarantine, which is mostly being at home or mowing the lawn or whatever else. You can find the rest of those on our YouTube channel over at the Kalamazoo Symphony YouTube channel. And so as we look into the fall, we've had to create a lot more planning. So starting at the beginning of October and throughout the fall, we will have a series of different online live-streamed events. A lot of work is going into figuring out how to make sure that we get these done and get them to look really professional and sound great. Some of this will have actual ensembles playing together in the same room for the first time in quite some time. We're looking forward to that. And hopefully, as we get along into fall, we'll maybe get a small string orchestra together. And then with the hope and goal of getting all together as a full orchestra here in January. The KSO has been in this community for 100 years, and we've been very, very thankful to partner with Western Michigan University School of Music. Several of the partnership programs that we've been doing together for quite some time, I think provide a lot of benefit to you. For instance, we have our Artist Scholars program. This is an auditioned program in which string players, by audition, are able to play actually in the KSO during our symphonic or masterworks concerts. So that's a really wonderful program. It's an opportunity for the top tier string students to be able to play with the Kalamazoo Symphony and kind of figure out how working together in a professional orchestra actually works. And we've seen several of our artist scholars have gone on to win positions in our orchestra, and we have my wonderful colleagues that still play in the orchestra today who were once originally artist scholars. We've also, in years past, opened up many of our rehearsals so that you can come and get a behind-the-scenes look at what preparing these concerts is like. Going to the symphonic series or masterworks concerts rehearsals are very eye-opening and something I encourage all of you to do once that opportunity is available again. You can learn a lot by watching and seeing how the music is put together and hearing what the conductor is fixing and seeing how different members of the orchestra interact with each other to problem solve. All of those are very valuable experiences that I encourage you to take part of course, once we're able to offer all of these things again. We've also, in years past, brought in our guest artists to the university for master classes. We've had wonderful cellists and pianists and singers come through that have provided master classes for you all, and we're very proud to be able to do that with you. And of course, we love our collaborations with the choral department. In my time, well, we were supposed to do St. Matthew's Passion, but we've also done several great masterworks, including Mendelssohn's Elijah in recent seasons, Carmina Burana a couple years back, many different great works that gets us to work together as the KSO and Western Michigan University. A few other things that I'd encourage you to look at and take advantage of throughout your time here at Western would be our education program and the different programs we offer. We have two programs in particular. One's called Orchestra Roa and the other Kalamazoo Kids in Tune. And periodically jobs open up in these programs, and these I encourage you to apply to and take advantage of. Many of the students, Western students who have taught, have gone on to graduate work or even become full-time employed in music education or other ventures. So I really encourage you to keep track of what's going on at Kids in Tune and Orchestra Roa. And when a position opens up, please apply. It's a very valuable experience. It's a way to make some extra money, but also to really share your expertise with the wonderful kids in Kalamazoo. And periodically we have internships. So please reach out to us and let us know if you're interested or available to help out. There's always things to do in the office. We are very proud of this partnership, and we're looking forward to a normal season in which we can really interact face-to-face a lot more. To conclude today, I thought I would share a few personal thoughts with you and maybe encourage you as you're setting out on this new, albeit quite different school year. And I'm sure in all of your minds, the question is, what's next? Of course, in the immediate future, it's like, when will this pandemic end and when can I get back to normal life? But in the longer term, I'm sure you're starting to wonder what's your plan for after graduation? What is your career going to look like in 20 years? It's an exciting time of life for each of you. It's a time of great optimism. And I also do know that it's a very complicated and complex ecosystem once you get out of school. So a few things that people have shared with me along the way that I thought you might find helpful today would be to develop your character through industriousness, friendship, and desire. So what do we mean by industriousness? Well, results come from hard work and careful planning. No substitute exists for hard work and personal discipline. And what do I mean by friendship? Well, be a true friend to those around you. This is actually, this time of life and your friendships that you create here in music school, this is the foundation of your professional network, the single most important component of your professional advancement. The richer and wider your personal network, the more likely your success becomes. Cultivate close relationships with your professors, your friends, and anyone else you can. Never, I repeat, never expect something in return from friendship, but rather these professional results will come from your network. That all comes out beyond your control. So therefore, be the best friend and colleague you can be right now, and other results will follow. And what do we mean by desire? Well, that's one of the most important traits that young adults have is enthusiasm and passion. However, these traits wane, and instead you need desire. Desire feeds passion and feeds enthusiasm. You must want to be successful at the very core of your person. Industriousness and friendship help to increase desire, which feeds that enthusiasm and feeds that passion. So first, my first rule is to develop character through industriousness, friendship, and desire. Second, refine your craft with consistent, strategic, and efficient practice. Develop a practice routine now and stick to it. This routine will help you to practice with intention. It will help you to be able to get through rough patches. I'm sure many of you during the pandemic, when there were suddenly no concerts to prepare for, found the motivation for practicing lacking. So find a routine that you can always turn to and that'll keep you practicing with intention. As you know, practicing with intention will not happen on its own. Learn to practice strategically. As you probably have already found out, practice time is very limited. It only gets more limited the more work you do. That is why now you must figure out a way to practice with a clear strategy in mind. Many resources are available to you, and your professors will be your best resource. If you develop a sound routine and craft excellent strategies, you will practice with more efficiency. Third, develop your mental, moral, and physical fitness. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself physically and mentally. Right now, you live very busy lives, and post-graduation, you will be very busy as well. So make it a practice to carve out time for yourself and care for yourself. Read widely, read voraciously, keep yourself current on all the events that are happening around you, and don't shy away when current events intersect with your art. Be a citizen artist who is constantly improving the community around you. Don't just live in your own little bubble, but reach out. After all, art is communication from one person to another. Fourth and most importantly, pursue perfection daily while carrying yourself with great poise and confidence. By poise, I mean be yourself. Be at ease in any situation and flexible enough to adapt while keeping the core of who you are intact. Be even-keeled and don't be thrown off by events, whether good or bad. Be prepared, always be prepared, and keep things in perspective. Preparation builds confidence, and I cannot express how important preparation is for you at this time of life. So I know some of you are probably starting to gig around, and you probably show up at some gigs, and it's easy to measure up yourself with all the people around you in the gig. The most important thing for you is to be the most prepared person there. Preparation will help you, if you give yourself the time to be prepared, you'll develop the habits that you need to be successful. And pursue perfection. Don't judge yourself against anything less than perfection. Now, I know perfection is a futile task. However, it's the only way to catch excellence on the way. So my parting thoughts to you today are, I'm so happy that you're all here at Western, and as a representative of the Kalamazoo Symphony, we are so happy to partner with you and to provide as many opportunities, even during this unusual year, and to help you in your growth as artists. As you seek to answer that "what is next" question, make it a daily habit to develop your character, refine your craft, build your fitness, and pursue perfection. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful week.